Only God can judge me. Well, the truth of the matter is, if you don't know only God can judge you, why do you continue to do the things that you do? Are you unaware that you will eventually be judged? Let's go to verse 5.
Therefore shalt thou fall in thy day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother.
Look at this right here. Now, we're going to get into this all these different movements and things that have distracted our people, right? But most people in the community are aware that we were once great. It's just that you're a little off because you're pointing in one direction when you should be looking at another. But we are, in some consensus, aware of the fact that we were great people, right? But the Most High is telling us here that He's going to allow us to fall. And also our prophets will fall. Don't we see all over the country pastors and bishops and apostles falling? People who were renowned and honored in their communities because people didn't know their mess, falling all over the country. People that you thought was on board, was doing what thus says the Lord, and we see scandal after scandal coming out. Now we don't have any former leaders. What leaders can we point to right now in the so-called African American community that is a true leader that is following the Most High? Now, we've given this leader status to a lot of people. If you got a bunch of money, it don't make a difference. Now people call you a leader. If you got 100,000, thousands of followers on Twitter and Instagram, they consider you a leader. Kanye's considered a leader, right? Our rappers and football players, and basketball players are considered leaders and actors. But that's not what the Most High said. We're supposed to have sound people in our communities that represented us in leadership as it always been. But we see that we don't see any of that. Let's get verse 6.
My people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge.
What?
My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge.
Because of the white man.
My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, and I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that hast forgotten the law of thy God, and I will also forget thy children.
Wow. So the Most High is telling us here in verse 6, in Hosea the 4th chapter, if you just joined us, that our people are perishing because of a lack of knowledge. Not only because it was a lack of knowledge, it's because they have rejected a certain knowledge. Now, in a minute, we're going to go into a whole bunch of knowledge that our people have. But we can see that none of these things has been fruitful. Because the Most High is letting us know here that we're perishing because there was a specific knowledge that we rejected. And that specific knowledge that we rejected was the law of the Most High. Remember, I stated to you before that the Most High only visited Israel. They were the only people that was required and responsible for keeping the statutes, the law, and commandments of God. The other nations were never given the law of Moses. So you ask yourself, the pastors in the churches are telling you now that, yeah, it's okay for you to eat pork, right? But the law is telling you that you're not supposed to. Why is it only so-called black people are the one with high blood pressure because of pork? You ever thought about that? To everybody else, it's considered the other white meat. But a large percentage of our people are taking high blood pressure medicine strictly because they eat pork. And they won't let it go. Which was in the law. So it seems as if we're being held responsible by the Most High for something that we have rejected. Right? Alright, so he tells us because we have forgotten the law of our God, he also will forget our children. And if you look at the society right now, when you go to South Side Chicago, when you go to the Bronx, when you go to Harlem, when you go to where we at right now in Anson County, you go to Morven, you go to parts of South Carolina, parts of the South, anywhere where there's black people, it's impoverished. They look like they are a forgotten people. Now in a second I said we're going to go into all these different knowledges that wisdom and so-called facts and truth that our people have. And we're going to see if these were the answers or was there something else that we have missed out on. All right? So, Jay, I want you to go in and put in... Oh, no, we're going to start with something else first. We're going to start with the knowledges that we do have. Now, shortly after the Civil War in 1865, many of our people who had fought in the war and did different things with the North, some of our free people that was already free, some of the ones that had ran away during this time of slavery, began to think that by assimilating politically and socially into the American society and culture, that these things would change, would bring about a change. So if you go do your research in 1865, between 1865 and the 1900s, we had many of our people begin to get into the military. Many of our people began to run for offices, take on leadership roles, start businesses. They began to dress American. Many of them changed their hair. They went to different schools and tried to learn the trades and learn the different things to be a true American. But when it got to around the 1880s and 1890s, around the 1900s, turn of the century, our people began to see that everybody wasn't really enthusiastic about us assimilating into society. Even when some of our people went to the North and to the West, we were still going through discrimination and prejudice. And surprisingly, most people don't notice that in the state of California had the most segregation laws than any other state in America. Now, if you would ask that question to most people, they would believe that the South, or Mississippi, or Alabama, or South Carolina, somewhere like that. But actuality, California has some of the most racist and discriminatory laws on the books. Right? So we begin to learn and be politically correct and try to be a part of the society. And that's still going on to this day. Today we have many congressmen that are black, many senators that are black. You have governors and mayors, state senators, state representatives that are African American, so-called African American, right? Prominent businessmen with great degrees, scholars. But as a whole, what fruit came from this political and social assimilation into America? Did it change your neighborhood? Now, you may be able to go and point out a few guys here and there. And don't get it twisted. My brother here has a 4-year degree. I have a 4-year degree. All of my family had college degrees. Right? So we were products of assimilating into this society. But as a whole, to the totality of our people in this nation, did this political and social assimilation change anything? I can tell you a quick story that when I started, I had a job. My first major job outside of college was I was the youth services director for Anson County. I walked in my first day to meet with my budget manager for the county and was asking for an office. And some lady pointed me and told me that the probation officer was down the hall to the right. I was making 3 times as much as she was. But when she seen the color of my skin, she assumed that I had to be going to look for my probation officer. So even with college degrees, even with assimilation into this society, we're still looked at as the people that are inferior. So this knowledge that we got from going into the schools, everybody thought, well, when we go into the schools, that would change it. And if we get to go to the colleges, that would change it. But did it? If you really ask yourself, the only reason they let us in, because they needed basketball and football players. Just saying. So did the political and social assimilation into the American society, did it change us as a people? I think all of us would agree as a totality, no. All right? So that's one avenue that we went in. The second avenue that we went in around the turn of the 1900s was we had a man by the name of W.E. Du Bois, who was the father of the so-called Pan-African movement. So what this was you had many people